I still act like I'm rich as hell. So are you anything at the closest shell? Drive you anywhere you wanna go. If you wake up feeling you're alone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sunshine Spotlight. My name is James Campion, and I was just saying to our guest that if things had gone differently this autumn, we might have been in the same city, New York City at this time. Our good friend, you might recognize his name from the production credits at the end of the show, Diego Molina. Diego,
What's up,
welcome,
guys?
man.
Thanks, James.
Nice to see you again. And, I have to
You too, man.
say a couple of things. Diego does graphic design, web work, photography. He's in 2 bands now. We're going to talk about all of that. But before we kick it off, I just want to say he's also the son of the great artist, Felipe Molina, our
Yep.
friend, and also producer of Underwater Sunshine. I miss your dad so much. And I don't tell this story often enough, but when I first started working on the book with Adam, the very first day I did, your dad was the only person in the entire year we worked on that book who was in the room for it. And he was
No way.
Yeah, and he was so kind in telling me, like, he thought I was on a real path, that he was shocked at, like, how open Adam was about those things. So I always think fondly of your dad while we're working on this book. So
Damn, that's awesome.
and hello out to Felipe. Okay, so Diego, a couple of things. Now, you've got a couple of projects going on. We'll talk about the 2 bands in a moment, but you just got off the road touring with and taking photographs. Our good friend, Ms. Hamilton, who was on the show not too long ago. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, dude, we had a fantastic time. So I got a call, I think Wednesday, from Abby that said, hey, we just got added to some Shaky Graves tour dates, and then that's going to go into some tour dates with Winona Judd. Can you fly down to Missouri on Friday? It was like, we need a TM and we need some photography. And I was like, give me a second. So this is my office that I work at. I do like graphic design for a bike company during the day. So I like got the call, drafted up this like letter and just like presented it to like the head of the marketing and all these people. I was like, please, so anyway, you can let me work remotely for 2 weeks so I can go on tour. And they were all about it. So I just like,
that's great.
That night packed all my shit, got it, and we flew out to Neiman, Missouri, and just went on like, we did like this big loop around the Midwest and then went down to Texas and then up to Denver. And it was fantastic, man. Fantastic time.
Yeah, and I meant to reach out to Abby as well. How's she doing? She sounds
fantastic.
Great. Oh yeah.
She killed it, and we all like, it was just Zach and Abby for the majority of the tour. So it was great to just like, they were doing these duo tours and they just sound amazing together. They have that incredible brother sister chemistry. So the harmonies just are like everyone, as soon as they start, the whole crowd is so engaged. It's really, really exciting. Really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, and I love Shaky Graves. I got some friends and family members who are big fans. Should try to get him on the show. I would say before we continue,
they rock.
He's amazing. So let me see this. I commented on this great sweater. Come on, you got to show us.
Yes.
That is so great. It looks like you could sleep in that damn thing.
Oh yeah, we got it. It's like an 80s. We thrifted it in Oklahoma City when I was on tour with Abby. God, this was like $20.
What?
Perfect, amazing.
I gotta show my wife that because she does like a lot of knitting and stuff. That looks like about 6 months of knitting. I can't believe you got it for $20.
Yeah, man, it's great. Big fan of it, especially in Seattle, sweater weather.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, so let's talk about 2 bands that you're working with right now.
Yeah.
The number one, the one I want to talk to you about that you have a new single. We're going to play a video from a little later on in the show. Is Romrel. Now you tell me that's the right way to pronounce it, but it's short for something else. Go ahead.
Yes, it's an acronym because I've got a long ass band name called Romantic Relevance. So short, like it was funny. I don't know if it was some friends or fans or somebody just called it Romrel. And I was like, oh my God, that's genius. It's perfect. So all the branding that's sort of like, if you're in the know about the band, it goes by Romrel. So
okay. So Romantic Relevance is not that bad. That's a pretty
Romantic Relevance. It's got like 6 syllables, James.
Okay, fair enough. And it must be tough on a quick. It takes up half your Twitter.
Oh yeah, exactly. So Romrel's how it goes.
So you guys you're working on the notes that I have here is that you have new single coming out in December and the whole album's coming out in February. Where are you at with the whole recording, mixing thing?
Yeah. So this was a project that we first started the demos for recording as a band back in July of 2020. So we put out our second record in May of 2020. The pandemic hit and just like shut everything down. It was just like a total buff of like release with promo and all that stuff. It's kind of got like swept, just went under the radar. We were like, all right, just get back to work. So we got a cabin out in Prestonsburg, where Zach's family lives, where Abby has done a bunch of writing.
Cool.
And we recorded like 6 or 7 demos we really loved. And then did some more like little recording remotely throughout there. Then October 31st of 2020, we went in to do like some final vocal takes, some final guitar takes. And when we showed up to the studio, my main hard drive and my backup hard drive failed. And we lost everything. I lost about 10 years of Logic files of music projects, completely gone, just forever. At like 7 a.m.
I have to say this. I just lost a hard drive, that, which I do a lot of editing and writing on and stuff like that. But I have like this cloud thing that I pay for that backs it up. Nothing like that?
No, dude, I didn't have a cloud server. It was just I just had a main hard drive, then I had a backup, and it was the craziest thing. Like that the main hard drive fails, and then it's like, shit, well, I'm glad I have the backup. We plugged the backup in, and then it just died, completely died.
Oh, man.
So it was like, right then, I looked at Zach and Ethan. I was like, do we just take the L? Like, do we just not do this? Like, is this the universe telling us, like, no, you are not to be doing music anymore?
Wow.
And we were just like, no, whatever, fuck it. We're just going to keep going. So Zach and Ethan, we started again, like that whole day from like 7 a.m. to like 10 p.m. We just all new drum takes and all new guitars. And so we hounded all after it, and it was really cool and exciting to be a part of. But again, because of that, it was like back to square one. So we've been mixing it and producing it and working on it all ourselves. We just sort of finished we have like one more round of mix edits before it's like good to go. We'll send it to get mastered and for promo and all that stuff. So we're just about at the finish line after like a year and a half now. So it's
what a story. I can't wait to hear this. Everyone listening to this can't wait to hear this record. I mean, you guys had to recreate the whole thing on the fly.
Everything, yeah.
Within months of its release. So you're going to get the latest sound of this band.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very, very intense. There's a lot of, and what's cool is, the whole record is a lot about like wrestling with like your own kind of self-destruction and with your own, like the worst parts of yourself. And it was almost like this, I had this image in my mind of like David and Goliath, but if like you are David and you're also Goliath, like you're dealing, especially when you come out of college and you're dealing with like the real world and you're dealing with your own insecurities, dealing with your own, like being in a pandemic of just like, do I matter at all? Like, does anything I do really matter at this point? Like a music career is not going to happen because there's no touring anymore. You know what I mean? Like all these kind of thoughts and this reality, like, when that sort of sweeps out from under your legs, you get to deal with the worst parts of yourself and the parts of yourself that you hate. And so a lot of the record is a lot to do with, friends leaving and people changing and, looking back and dealing with, like self-harm and things like that and all these destructive parts, but dealing with it, right? Not just repressing it, not forgetting about it, but like really wrestling with it. And so that whole record, so King Face has that whole, when you'll see more about it, it's about like this really, like this affair that happened at this church where we all met and how that was a huge moment for the three of us, for me, Zach and Ethan. We all met playing like Christian music at a church. And it was super intense, kind of like there are just a lot of issues, the leadership that was in there, and there was an affair that kind of like changed everyone's worldview at like 17, 18 years old. Your whole perspective of what's right, what's wrong, how the world's supposed to go, just like fell out from under us. And, so that song is a lot about dealing with that and coming face to face with it. So it was cool to get to like, in a sense, physically manifest that and have to freaking re-record all this stuff all over again, Sure.
Now, the video for King Face, we might as well play it now. Great introduction to it. Your dad, obviously an artist. You're a visual artist. You can take photographs. Graphic artist. How much did you foresee this? Did you storyboard this? Is this something that you conceived of? Is this kind of what you like to dive into as part of your creative art?
Great question. And yes, absolutely, all of it. I have a friend. His name is Paxton Powell. He's doing video with We Came as Romans right now. He's on tour with them, and he and I. We've been working on the visuals and the storyboard and the concept for this since the song was pretty much written. you know, because he's so close with all of us, with me, Zach and Ethan. And as soon as we finished our first demos, Paxson was there with us. And so we were like talking about songs for music videos, and Kingface was at the top of the list. So yeah, that's another, we have some great stories with that, of going to Marshall's and trying to like figure out the costume and the whole thing for this guy. Maybe we can talk about it afterward, after people see it. But
Okay, cool. Yeah, you guys are wearing costumes and really performing this. All right, so anyway, this is Romrel, or what is the full thing? Romantic
Relevance.
Relevance. Okay, with a song and video called Kingface. Let's check this out.
If it all turns around, where are you gonna go? Have you lost the words now? No, we never thought it'd end his home. Are we out of it now? In the fall we all got cold. Did I know somehow? In the way you prayed it came out, and you refused to get away someday. And so it goes, a weak heart, soft hold. My mind is weak and I can't let go. Since then it hurts to say we hesitate. There's more that I wanna be, but that song was warm, I was cold. It wasn't you I heard, was it I've never feared such an endless cold. So close, weak heart, soft tongue. My mind is weak and I can't let go. My mind is weak and I can't let go. You can't face.
That is Kingface, Romrel, a new song by our friend and one of the contributors to the Underwater Sunshine Festival and Sunshine Spotlight, Diego Molina, and he's joining us here today from Seattle, right? You're in Seattle?
From Seattle, correct.
Yeah. How's the music scene out there? Obviously, very well known for the early '90s music scene.
Oh yeah.
Is it still relevant?
I don't know actually yet, especially with like I moved in April of this year. So just when things were just starting to open up like after the pandemic. So I haven't gotten a ton of like a great feel for exactly what is happening here as far as music wise. But it's absolutely a beautiful city. And I kind of came here because of that, because of the history that's here, you know?
Sure. All right. So let's talk about this video real quick.
Yeah.
How did you guys create it? How did you produce it?
That's a great question. I think I had the visual for the album cover first. I knew I wanted this like ghost following me, me looking at this ghost. And so we sort of just took with that idea and we're like, how can we build off of that? How can we build a story or something? And it was just piece by piece of there's a fashion designer. His name is R.A.F. Simmons, and he has these incredibly compelling images of these people in a white graphic tee and a white hood wrap and like white shorts, white pants in front of like a white wall. And then he had one that was red and one with black, and it was so compelling. And I thought, like, boy, if we have the band like that, it's like, they're in white and I'm in red in front of a white wall. It's just so dramatic.
That's exactly what you did.
Such a scene. It's exactly. It was completely referenced from R.A.F. Simmons. And so we took that, and I knew that wanted to be the band shot.
How does one buy costumes like that? How do you find costumes?
Yeah, we went to Marshall's. It was like, all right, Zach, you find red, I'm gonna find white, whatever. And Ethan, you were just like trying on pants for like women's pants that are way too short, trying to like eventually just like found it, and it worked out. But the ghost costume is what took a long time. We went to Joanne Fabrics, got like a bunch of different like velvet and black cloths, and we were trying to put them on, and we figured that like the only way we could get this creature to be as compelling and as tall as we want was to like put Zach on top of Ethan's shoulders.
Oh, that's that's two people.
Yeah. So every clip in there is literally Zach on top of Ethan's shoulders. We had the whole thing draped up and like put in pins to make it all work. So that's how that worked out.
Did anybody fall during this whole thing?
No, but Zach's legs would be shaking, or Ethan's legs would be shaking from holding him up. So you had to do like very, very short increments of clips, and then like all that stuff that was on by the tree and outside. Mm-hmm. It was like 39, 40, 42 degrees. It was freezing. Wow. And there was so much wind, so it was like that was a rough day of shooting. But
yeah, you can't even tell. You guys look like you're having a ball, even though there's an intensity to the video.
Yeah.
Do you edit these things? Is that another talent that you bring to the table?
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah,
Paxton and I do that all together. It's very intense, collaborative. A lot of friction, a lot of wrestling, a lot of shooting down ideas and trying things. It's a really, really collaborative process with me and Pax.
Now let's move on to socially acceptable drugs.
Yeah.
This is a project you told me you started because of the pandemic. Now, is this a singular project of just you? And I wrote down, the first thing I thought of was Elliott Smith meets like Radiohead style. Like
that's a great.
Yeah, your voice has like a higher register. Thank you. But that's what it resonated to me. And I know there's a little Radiohead in Kingface as well. But
of course.
How did you approach this project? What does this entail? Is it just you?
Yeah. So going back to playing music in church, there was a friend group. It was myself, Paxton, who's doing our video, Zach, Ethan, who are in my band, and another guy named Scout Anders. We were all like the weird music obsessed kids. Like that was just our whole friend group was a small, tight group of people that were just obsessed and totally affected and in love with music. Scout has always been a close friend, and Scout has had a band with Zach and Ethan. Scout has had projects with Ethan. We've all sort of been playing our cards with each other. And this is my project with Scout. So we had been talking about writing for a long time, and it's sort of like talked about a super group. Like one day we were joking, like, oh, we should just call it sad because we're always sad all the time. It's just like that's a characteristic of my generation. And then so of course we were like throwing around like the most obscene, like vulgar, like acronyms for what sad could mean. And eventually somebody said socially acceptable drugs, and it was like, wait, that's kind of sick. And then it turns out it also stands for Scout and Diego. So it's all like totally serendipitous.
That's really,
it's a really cool name.
It never occurred to me. And of course, socially acceptable drugs is try to keep you from not being sad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If you want to dig even deeper, that thing has like 5 levels. Yes, go ahead, please.
I know. It turned out pretty cool. So during the pandemic, we started sending just demos, kind of ideas back and forth, just because it's a different outlet. It's a totally different kind of creative and writing process than it is for Romwell.
It's got a little hip hop feel to it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've got like, there's some super intense heavy hip hop songs in there, and then we have like folk songs in there as well. It's a really cool, diverse record that we've got. But as we were sending demos after the pandemic, after I moved to Vail, Colorado for the winter, I did a stop in Ogden, Utah before I moved to Seattle, and Scout and I rented an Airbnb with my brother, and we just like recorded on 58s and just like made this whole record completely different from the Rommel stuff. Instead of renting a studio and,
Right.
having a mix engineer and stuff, it was like, no, we're going in with like a 58 in our laptop. And it was one of the most fun, most fulfilling recording times I've ever had. Really, really amazing. It's totally like, with Rommel, I'm wanting to do a thing, right? I've got like my 90s, the Radiohead, the Goo Goo Dolls, the Coldplay, like I've got that I'm trying to work out in my system. And there's writing that, there's a story I'm trying to tell. And it can be very laborious, arduous work sometimes, especially writing for Rama, just because of the way that process is. With Sad, I wanted to go like, what happens if I just go by intuition, like straight up don't even think about it? Like what I'm really excited about what could come out that I haven't heard before, that has a next level of rawness, that's more unpredictable, that's primal. I think primal is the word I'm looking for.
Right.
And
musically
so that's
and lyrically, yeah, because it's stripped down. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of where Scout and I were going. And what happened was just there's incredible chemistry between the two of us. It would kind of work like I would have like a verse, an instrumental, and a chorus. And I'd be like, Scout, I need you to do something with this. Like I'm stuck, I've hit a wall. And so I give him a thing, he goes into the other room, he gives me a thing. And then we come out in 2 hours and it's like, holy shit, look what you did to that song. It's insane. You made it so much better, So it was like just a cool vitality with that record that I'm super excited to get out of here.
That sounds like so much fun. All I keep thinking of though is the other people at that B&B. Did you get anyone going, what the hell are you people doing up there?
No, because we rented a whole ass house. We rented like a whole ass big house. In Utah. Oh. Yeah, just 3 of us. And so we were watching like the show called The Boys on Amazon, and I was just playing like all the day, and we'd go get like waffles and then come back and just hound and work, and then take a break, go get more waffles. It was like, it was really one of the coolest recording experiences I've ever had. Just zero pressure, no insecurities. There's nothing in the room, but just like, this raw belief and love for what you're doing. So it was a great time.
These are great stories. I would think anybody watching this right now, including myself watching you talk about it, want to hear this music because the backstories to the both of these is amazing.
Yeah.
So live, Romrel seems like more of a working band if you can get out and play.
Yeah.
So either one of these projects, do you have any plans to play live? Anything scheduled that you could plug, or maybe come back east so we can see you? I mean, assuming that we don't have any kind of festival in the spring or, hopefully next year.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think the pandemic sort of taught me and taught us, and I've learned a lot about like these musicians and artists that I've seen gain a following in the last maybe 5 years or so. And so I think the pattern used to be like over the last 40, 50 years, you become known as a musician by touring like a road dog, and that's always been kind of like the dream for me. I love the idea of Romrel just living in a van for 7 months and just touring like dogs, but it's not super realistic. And it wasn't the cards I was really given. It wasn't like an opportunity that I really had. But I've seen so much music change and how you can grow a following online, like how much that affects by. So what I'm trying to say is I think that my intention, especially with Sad, is that I want to develop an online following before we ever play a show. Like I want us to be well known in SoundCloud and Spotify and music blogs and music videos to where there's an audience there, so that when we have our first show, we're not playing at a dive bar. It's like the music just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work for that scenario.
Sure.
So I want to develop that kind of relationship with an online fan base first, and then like present it and go like, here's me and Scout doing our thing. With Romrel, I'm more just like, no, let's just get out. Like any chance we get the chance to play, especially with like, the 3-piece, we have a 4-piece, we'll get a bass player, and just like those songs work so well in that environment. When people are ready to hear a band, that's where Romrel is just going to be perfect. It'll just totally deliver. I think Sad needs to be in a little more of a unique, specific kind of situation for it to really work as a live show, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense.
I absolutely do. I mean, that was the basics. That's the basis of music at least rock and roll popular music that I know of through the 50s and 60s. You get a record through the 80s with MTV. You play the shit out of something on MTV, and everybody's like, "Wow, this band's great. I got to go see them play live." Then they tour, right? Or get yourself on the radio. How the Beatles did that. They finally got Capitol Records to play their stuff in America. By the time they get off the plane, everybody knew who the hell they were. They couldn't even believe it. So I mean, that's a great idea. And if you're a rock and roll band, you got to just play live. So I mean, so there's nothing imminent right now, but you do have plans on doing something like that this winter, maybe, or in the spring.
It's funny you say the word that's not imminent, because when you've been sitting on these records for as long as we have, there's this like horrible anxiety that like it's never gonna get out, but that like no one's ever gonna hear it. So like the imminence is just I've been feeling like on the verge of imminence for like a year and a half now. It's killing me. So there actually is a level of like, let's get this shit going.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm in copy edit form for my next book that's coming out. And, you write a book, you put it in, and then it takes a year to come out. And then if there's any delays at all, you feel like, they're taking pieces of you off. It's just because you're so done with it. You just wanted to get it out so people can respond to it. Yeah, I agree. Well, congratulations. You have been a busy man. Romrel has got new single coming out in December. The album is due in February. Maybe you'll see some live Romrel after that. Socially Acceptable Drugs. Check them out online. You got a website for these things?
We've got SoundCloud. You can come check us out. Socially Acceptable Drugs is on SoundCloud right now. You can check out that record. And
the new one's 2022.
Correct. We'll be in summer 2022.
All right. Well, listen, to say the very least, just to get your excitement about all these things and just seeing your smiling face, it really breaks my heart that we can't all get together.
I know,
Sunshine
man.
Spotlight team and family this week. But listen, we're doing the right thing. We're waiting until we can really do it again the right way. And I know you were supposed to play it, which is one of the motivations for having you come on. I remember the first time you were working on the website. You were with Felipe, and then all of a sudden, as I said with Abby, you and Abby were up there playing songs and killing us. And ever since that, I've been dying to see you play again. So it was great seeing the video. Thank you for joining us. Best of luck, and hopefully I see you sooner than later, bro.
Yeah, thanks so much, James. I can't wait. Can't wait to meet you out there.
Indeed. All right. Well, this is Sunshine Spotlight. My name is James Campion, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
See ya.
For you to talk, I know places we could talk out loud. It's a mountain and I can talk. I know places I've been locked down hard. Anywhere you want, I'll meet you now. You left me some boxes I can't open now. Feels like everything we have